Hello, my friends. Happy New Year. It's Erin Ware, and I thought I'd be back before now, but I'm glad I took the time off, but it didn't go as planned. I'm pretty sure I didn't share here, but I shared with my patrons that my son had to have an emergency appendectomy over the holidays. And so we spent like 5 days in the hospital, and before that he was sick for several days, like about 4 or 5 days. We had to take him to the emergency room twice. The first time they just sent us back home and said it's probably the virus, and anyway, it was a whole thing. It was definitely not the kind of, like, he was sick from Christmas Eve. And then we came home from the hospital on January 2nd. So grateful that he's fine. He's healing great. He's healthy. We're all fine. Like, these things really make you grateful for the good times, but it's not like how I had planned the holiday to go. And so not only am I coming back, like, there's just a lot to restarting work after, the holidays. And there's also just the fact that I didn't really get a break. It was actually really, insanely busy and stressful, and just, I didn't sleep enough. I wasn't feeding myself well because my baby was sick. But, he's doing great. And so we're coming back. I just thought I would give you a really casual journaling update. I had planned to film this earlier and I didn't get to it, so it's next on the agenda. I just thought I'd talk you through some of the things going on, not briefly. I can't really do anything briefly, but I feel like I've already done a lot of the explanation of these books in a previous journaling video about roughly a month ago. So I don't want to go into tons of detail, but I just want to kind of focus on what's happening now, and then some thoughts that I have about moving forward. I'm going to start with, I think the easiest one to start with is my 5-year journal. I have been in this for a week now. I'm not really sure if I showed you the final setup. It's not super final. I really actually want to do more with these ribbons. I don't know what yet, but something special. And who knows how this will evolve over. 5 years is a long time. But I did clean it up a little bit. I can't remember what I had done before the previous video, but I have put a few things in here to make it more me, and I'm not gonna show you what I wrote, but I'm just gonna give you proof. I am kind of trying to track the weather there on the side, and I just thought that might be interesting in the future. And then I write in the little spot, and that's all I've done so far. That's all I can handle. I do have some loose plans for the other page, but my brain is just not capable of thinking that deeply yet. I'm getting there. But that's going. It's going well. It only takes me a couple minutes in the evening, and I leave it on my bedside table, so it's fine. I'm just using this Uniball or Uni 1P because it's cute with this little journal, and it writes well, and it's no fuss. I thought about using fountain pens, but I don't want to make a barrier for if my pen runs out of ink, or if I need to use that pen for something else, and etc. I can just keep this pen always with this journal, and it works great. Next up is, I'll just tell you briefly about my, these are the same because the end of the year was very crazy, and I didn't journal much at all since the last I talked to you about this. So these are roughly in the same spot they were in the last time I talked to you, these are my morning pages journal. So I have written more in it, but just not nearly enough to fill it up. So I'm just going to keep using this until it's filled up. I think that's fine. And then I'll keep using this until it's filled up. This is just sort of my everything notebook where I don't know if you would call it, it's not exactly brain dump, but it could be. It's just kind of whatever. I love writing in this notebook. It's a Leuchtturm 1917. And I love writing with this pen, which is my Lamy Safari charcoal color, and with a fine nib. Although I will tell you that I will often, this is probably not okay, but I will often get a very fine grain sandpaper and rub my nib on that until it writes as smoothly as I want to. And it turns it into, definitely, I think it broadens the nib a bit. And so it might not technically be fine anymore. If you don't mind doing that to your nibs, like, I don't care. I feel like, how could I mess it up? It's probably not going to be messed up. And if it does, I can buy another nib for these pens fairly inexpensively. And I want it to work the way I want it to work. So I'll do that pretty often. And it works out okay, but that's me. You know, I just do things and I fix things and I make them what I want them to be without stressing about it too much, because I am the one who is using it. and so I know not everybody feels like that. If you don't want to, I mean, especially, this is a fairly inexpensive fountain pen, and you might not want to do that to one of your more expensive ones with the, you know, more expensive nibs. But that's beside the point. Anyways, I love the way it writes in here, and I just write all kinds of notes down. A lot of it has to do with work, but sometimes it's just other stuff I'm thinking about, and random journaling. It feels like the kind of notebook where if I'm not sure what I want to write in or where I should put something, I'll just put it in here. And I love it. I think A5 is my most comfortable size, my favorite size of notebook. And I maybe because it's classic, you know, I grew up with this kind of size of notebook, and it just feels like home, I guess. So that's these. Eventually, when these are filled up, I think I'll get another Leuchtturm like this one, and then use it as my everything, like morning pages and anything else journal. And I'll probably need to use multiple throughout the year if that's the case, and that's fine. I think it's totally worth it. As much as I love to write on this paper, that'll work out well. The Hobonichi to my river paper, the white with the grid, it's okay, but it's just so white, and it's just, I don't know. It's not my favorite. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not to my taste. So I'll be happy to be done with that. The next thing, this is kind of an honorable mention. It's my Hobonichi weeks. As I've gotten into the new year and I'm using my new work planner, and also over the holidays, because like I said, we were in the hospital and there was a lot going on. This turned into kind of more of a journal than a planner. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm still using this as like a home planner, like anything that has to do with my family, kids' school, doctor's appointments. I think I'm going to do some meal planning in here. I'm not very good at that, but I'm going to try. But all that kind of stuff goes in here. But if I don't do that stuff, which I often don't, because not every week is a planned kind of week. So like, for instance, when we were in the hospital and when Felix got sick, I just, like over Christmas, I journaled a lot of things, just like quick notes so that I could remember stuff that was happening. And sometimes if I don't fill in the day, I'll just write a few notes down. It's like micro journaling. It's just little bits of information to help me remember what happened that day. And so I kind of consider this a hybrid planner journal sort of situation. Let me put my board back in there. I'm talking so fast, and I'm sorry about that. I think I just feel I was in my morning pages this morning. I was just kind of writing to myself about how I just haven't had a moment to like process everything that happened, and I launched back into work, and I feel very stressed out about getting back to things, but I'm not being very productive. I kind of hate that word, but I'm not being very strategic for sure in the things that I'm doing. I just feel like I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, and I'm just like trying to get things done. So I'm sorry, that's my energy today, and I wish that I was more calm, but maybe if I just like take a deep breath, I can chill a little bit. I'm also, I don't think I've shared this on YouTube exactly. I think maybe there are hints of it here and there, but I am now officially like 6 months pregnant. I am due in March, and that's part of why I'm kind of out of breath all the time. Now I've gotten to that point where things are just not fitting in my body. There's not a lot of room in there. So, okay, we'll talk about this one again, because once again, I just really haven't done anything with this probably since I talked to you last. But it's supposed to be my like reading journal. Oh, I've got some glue stuck there. And I think that I would like to keep this one very low stakes, like just as I want to add to it, and think of it as a journal that I'll keep for years and not for this year. Because I don't do this kind of thing very often, but I feel like it's the kind of thing that I want to do when I want to do it. Like I want to transfer some of the lists that I put in last year's personal space journal. That one wasn't exactly a reading journal, but it kind of turned into one in a lot of ways, because that was where I do my own personal journaling, and a lot of my time is spent, like my personal time is spent reading or thinking about books or buying books or any of that. So while there's other stuff in there, it turned into a lot of like a journal, a lot about reading. And I think that some of those lists that I put in that journal, I'd like to keep in here because that one will be archived. And so, I mean, lists like this, when I'm watching a YouTube video or something and people give a list of books and it's a good one, like it's something I'm interested in, I will write it down. And it's really, I want to put a quote here or something. I mean, there's just so much I want to add to this. I think that I love, this is a Sterling ink notebook that I bought a couple years ago. So it was one of the earlier ones that they did. I think, but like, I think like there aren't page numbers on this one. And so, and it's B6 size. I think I just like having this option available when I'm thinking about journaling. Sometimes it's more about the kind of book and the kind of journaling that I want to do, like the feeling it gives me more so than what I need to write down. I don't know if that makes sense, but sometimes I just have a feeling like I want to be in a certain type of book. And so it's good to have this option, though I don't think I'm going to be in here all the time. So we'll see. We'll just see what happens. And I do want to do something with this cover. I'm not sure what yet. And this one is, I'm pretty sure I shared it with you. I think I did. I definitely shared with my patrons how I covered this. So this is a Midori One Day One Page, not the Codex. This is the one that actually has like months. and days, like you go through and you date everything yourself. Like, it's not dated, but there is a date per page. I dated this in 2022, and then I didn't really use it. There's a few things in here from 2022, and also the last couple of years, sometimes I would add to this. Like, this was maybe done last year. I don't know. It was supposed to be what I considered a perpetual journal, where I was just going to continue to add to it and add to it on the day. Almost like a 5-year journal, but just it wasn't restricted to any years. And I was just putting things all over the page. So I think there's some stuff back here. I wanted to keep track of things like, that was a gift from my, actually it's this plant, a gift from my best friend. And I don't know what else is in here. Just random stuff. Some of it's like more dated. Like, I put my watercolor palette in here from 2022. This I just did yesterday. So I decided to redate it. So I'm using the months. Here, I'll just start from the beginning. That's what I have in here so far. I did track my reading in here in December. So I redated all the months. I whited them out with some Midori, the cream colored correction tape. And I am redating them as I go, I guess. And I'm keeping track of my reading. You know, I use a color for every book that I read, and I just keep track that way. And then do something when I finish. So that's that. And I want it to be really free and playful and not stress about it. I think that when I thought about this journal, I wanted a place, like, I wasn't gonna have a big journal this year or a dated journal this year. But then I found myself craving, like, I wanted a place to use printables, especially like other people's printables, not just my own. And I wanted a place to just like do big lettering, or just, I don't know, have fun and play and not worry too much about anything. I unfortunately am already struggling to keep up with this. So today is the 8th, and I think I'm doing okay. I think that what happens when I get a dated journal, which is technically not dated because I wrote these in pencil, I can change the dates very easily. So that's not a big deal. The problem is I get too tight on the way that I think about daily journaling, and I immediately launch into talking about the things that happened. The whole point of me getting a 5-year journal is to keep up with the things that happened that are really important. And my Hobonichi weeks also is like a memory keeper where I keep up with things that happened. You know, even my work planner tells the story of what I did with my day, work-wise. And so I don't feel like I necessarily need a big journal to keep up with things that happened. I am not naturally a memory keeping journaler. I don't find it interesting. I don't like talking about things that happened a lot because it happened and I get bored, honestly, writing about things like that. Unless it's super interesting, I get bored very quickly writing about the day, the things that happened. I don't want to do it. So that's part of why I've been struggling. So what I decided, and this is going to be a work in progress because I can decide this, but then I will constantly go back to the thinking that this needs to be a memory keeping journal because it has a date. The dates just really throw me. I wanted a dated journal because I love having the pressure of having a page to fill. When I like a few years ago, I had a Hobonichi cousin, avec. I started in, I think it was 2021 was my first one. And I filled up 3 avecs, so a year and a half. And I moved on from there to something different. I think I went down to A6, and I've tried different things since then. But those years were definitely like, they were during the pandemic for, well, you know, towards, yeah. And then they were when my kids were really small and home with me. And I think that that was like my therapy. I would glue stuff in, I would write big lettering. I mean, you can go back and look at some, they're like old. They feel very old now, but I have videos on YouTube about those journals, and there's definitely like flip throughs on Patreon too. But they were a place for me to release a lot of stuff from my day. So like when my daughter was born, my son was only 2.5, and it was hard. It was like a hard time where my son was like just really like putting me through it. Because he had a baby sister he had to deal with, and he didn't like that, and all these things. So and my husband, because of the pandemic, was working like sometimes 70, 80 hours a week, and he wouldn't even see the kids because they'd be in bed when he got home. And so I was doing all this kind of by myself. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't have people over or anything like that. And I was so stressed out. It was like, seriously, so stressful, which I'm sure you understand. And I would use my journal to just like dump things into. And I've already told you I'm having another baby, and I think that I don't imagine being so stressed out this time. However, it's a different speed of life. It's just a different season, and I really want a place to just play. I want to be free. I want to use printables. So like, I'm sorry, that was really long, but I'm trying to explain how I feel about this journal. I discovered Susanna Bryant. I do believe that she was a patron of mine at some point. I don't know if she still is, but I remember her name because her name starts with a ZS. And there's my ice machine. I love her artwork. It's so like weird and quirky, and so like the colors are great, and I'm just having a lot of fun with them. I think I could have just like filled these pages with her artwork, but I didn't want to go overboard. So I was like, here's some of mine, and here's some washi tape and stuff. But yeah, there's something about finding images I like in magazines, and my friends' printables, and just stuff. I want to play with that stuff without feeling like I need to. I guess I want to play like I used to in my Hobonichis. I did not love the Hobonichis, the paper, the layout. That was not my cup of tea, but I enjoyed the things that I was doing in it back then, and I wanted some more of that. So I've always been like a Midori girl. I love the Midori paper. I love the color. I love the feel of it, the way all kinds of things work on it. Watercolor, and these are Inktense pencils and watercolor pencils, and I feel like anything I throw at this, it works great. There's some paint pens here, and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. I just feel really safe putting stuff in here, and especially with all the trouble people are having with Hobonichi paper this year, come to Midori. The empty notebooks are great. I know, yeah, some people love the white paper and love the graph paper and all that, but I'm happy here. So that's what's going on with this. I feel like I just want to play, and I'm hoping that I can keep that up. Not to like fill the journal like it's pressure, but to have a place to like just be myself and play. The personal space journal from last year was kind of like that, and I did feel a little bit like that, but I think the type of paper and like that's restrictive to me, and just the way the year went just didn't go as expected. And so I finished half the year in that and then kind of gave up on it. So I guess this is another try at a place where like this could be called personal space journal. Could be called a lot of things, I guess. So we'll just see. This is a drawing my daughter did the other day. Isn't that cute? So yeah, okay. Well, that's enough talking about that. And I hope you're well. I hope you had a restful, really nice holiday season. I have so many things I want to talk to you guys about. Like, I'm not even gonna I'm not gonna get into it. I have a lot of plans and a lot of things coming up that I just need to sit down and record and get to you. So I'm excited about that. I feel like I am full of ideas, but I just need to settle down and start the year off with a bit more calm than has been happening the last few weeks. So tell me what is going on with you if you want to in the comments, and if your journaling is going the way that you planned. In short, because I don't think I said this until now, I do feel a little bit like strung too thin with these journals, and I think that's why I needed to talk about this one so much, because I didn't want to give myself another thing to do, and now I feel like I have. So I'm trying to reframe my thinking on this, that it doesn't have to be done every day. It doesn't have to be daily journaling. It doesn't have to be memory keeping. It just is fun. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. Especially after like March. We'll see. Okay. Anyways, I'll let you go now. I hope you're well. I love you. Goodbye.